Okay, for today's Business Matters, Saudi Arabia says Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman wants to invest big in the United States. The state-run Saudi press agency said this morning the Crown Prince told President Trump the kingdom wants to pour $600 billion into the U.S. over the next 4 years. This came after a phone call between the two leaders. The report did not say where those investments might go. The White House did not immediately issue a readout on the call either. The U.S. has been relying less and less on Saudi oil in recent years, but the kingdom is a big buyer of U.S.-made weapons. And earlier this week, Trump suggested he might go to Saudi Arabia for his first foreign trip. Meanwhile, the Los Angeles wildfires are incurring record-breaking costs. Insured losses from the Los Angeles are estimated at $28 billion, making them the most expensive in U.S. history. The wildfires have scorched an area nearly the size of Washington, D.C., and claimed 28 lives. They've also damaged or destroyed nearly 16,000 structures. Insurers are bracing for billions in claims. Risk modeling firm KCC says the losses include fire damage, smoke, and additional costs for evacuation zones and damaged and as well as demand surges. Estimates from another risk assessment firm, Verisk, range even higher. That's between $28 and $35 billion. And a 69-day strike by casino workers at Virgin Hotels in Las Vegas has ended. It was the Culinary Workers Union's longest strike in decades. By the time workers walked off the job last November, they'd already been fighting for a new contract for over a year. Workers on the picket line said they were fighting for living wages and better benefits. Both the union and the casino said negotiations stalled because they couldn't come to an agreement on pay. But after reaching their deal, both sides say they're ready to move on and move past their disagreements. The 5-year contract covers about 700 workers and it likely contains significant pay raises. But the union said it wouldn't settle on that issue. The Culinary Union is the largest labor union in Nevada with about 60,000 members across the state. Now, Samsung launches new smartphones at an event in California. Let's go to what's new with the Samsung Galaxy S25. Take a look.
Samsung has unveiled new AI smartphones in a bid to fend off Apple and Chinese rivals. The new Galaxy S25 models were launched at an event in California on Wednesday. They're powered by chips from US firm Qualcomm. Company Mobile Experience Chief T.M. Rowe claimed they set a new standard in mobile innovation, and a lot is riding on the new devices being a success. Samsung's preliminary fourth-quarter profit, released earlier this month, missed analyst forecasts by a wide margin. Experts say the firm also faces flagging sales for its flagship foldable phones, once heralded as the next big thing for the sector. The new handsets use Google's Gemini AI system and claim to offer more personalized service. Google DeepMind CEO Demis Hassabis appeared in a recorded video at the event.
We believe the next frontier for AI will be agentic systems that are able to accomplish tasks and do useful things for you. And now, we're so excited to be partnering with Samsung to bring some of its groundbreaking capabilities to the Gemini app.
The question is whether AI services will really prompt consumers to buy new phones. Some industry watchers argue a really compelling new product is yet to appear. But Technalysis President Bob O'Donnell says Samsung has taken a step in the right direction.
What I saw today, to be honest with you, was kind of like the first real working examples of AI stuff that I think normal people are going to want to use. I mean, there's been a lot of hype around AI and some of the things theoretically it could do, but I feel like today we started to get a hint at some stuff that, regular people are going to want to use and that will be truly impactful.
Samsung touted features including its Now Brief service, which can make personalized recommendations and display customized items ranging from calendars and news to bedroom temperatures. The South Korean giant kept the starting price of the phones unchanged at $799.
Now, a new $7 billion settlement has been reached amid the U.S. opioid epidemic, and this will result thousands of lawsuits against Purdue Pharma and its owners, the Sackler family. The cases allege that the pain medication Oxycontin caused a widespread opioid addiction crisis in the U.S., which led to more than 700,000 opioid overdose deaths in the past 2 decades. The settlement does not close off lawsuits from states, local governments, and individual victims. Anyone who doesn't want to join the settlement can pursue legal action against the family, who have said they would vigorously defend themselves. And PayPal's security shortfalls are costing the company $2 million. The digital payment company will pay this fine for its cybersecurity failures. The New York State's Department of Financial Services conducted an investigation and found that customers' names, birthdays, and social security numbers were accessible for weeks to cybercriminals in late 2022. Also faulted PayPal for not using multi-factor authentication and tests to tell humans from computers. PayPal cooperated with the investigation and said, quote, "Protecting consumers' personal information and maintaining a secure platform is a top priority." Next, the European Union is hoping to offset potential U.S. tariffs with possible energy and arms deals.
It's worth noting that the EU and US share the largest trade and investment relationship in the world, so there is a lot of stake also economically, and it's damaging actually for all sides if we go down the trajectory of global economic fragmentation. According to IMF estimates, it actually can bring down global GDP by up to 7%. It's like taking Germany and France combined GDP out of the world economy. So it's lots of at stake, and we are ready to engage with the Trump administration and look for constructive solutions.
And President Trump has vowed to address a long-running deficit in goods trade with the EU. He has threatened to impose tariffs on the bloc. The European Commissioner for Economy said the EU wants to engage with the new administration and is open to energy and arms purchases, but also warned that the EU would defend its rights and interests if tariffs were imposed. Meanwhile, a bid to remove China's special trade benefits with the United States, lawmakers introduced a bipartisan bill today that would revoke China's preferential trade status with the U.S. Now, this trade status paved the way for China's entry into the World Trade Organization, and the bill was introduced by the chairman of the House Select Committee on the CCP. He said, granting China the special status had ushered in waves of Chinese imports and depleting the U.S. manufacturing industry and made the U.S. susceptible to economic coercion from its foremost adversary. Also adding that removing the status would safeguard U.S. national security, enhance supply chain resilience, and on top of that, bring back manufacturing to America and its allies. The proposed legislation would end annual certification or recertification, that is, of the designation and codify minimum 35% tariffs for non-strategic goods, and for strategic goods, that's minimum 100% tariffs. And all this would make China's products more expensive and potentially less competitive in the U.S., also potentially reducing exports from China and impacting the Chinese economy. And staying on China, Chinese authorities have unveiled their newest attempt to prop up the Chinese stock market. China announced plans to channel billions of dollars of investment from state-owned insurers into shares. Now, authorities will call on insurers to invest at least $13 billion of long-term funds into stocks in the first half of this year. In response to the announcement, stocks rose, but gains were just modest. Beijing has been intensifying efforts to bolster the stock market. It has been weighed down by a long-running property crisis, deflationary pressure, and as well as geopolitical tension. Now, the World Trade Organization comments on a potential trade war emerging, and this during a discussion in which potential new Trump tariffs were also mentioned. Here's more.
Trade wars would have catastrophic consequences for global growth. That was the warning from the head of the World Trade Organization on Thursday. WTO Director General Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala was speaking at the World Economic Forum in Davos. Her words came during a session on trade where US President Donald Trump's tariff threats were discussed.
If we have tit-for-tat retaliation, whether it's 25%, tariff 60%, and we go to where we were in the 1930s, we're going to see double-digit global GDP losses. Double-digit. That's catastrophic. Everyone will pay. Everyone.
Trump returned to the White House this week. He did not immediately impose tariffs on US imports on his first day back in office. But he said he is considering tariffs of around 25% on Canada and Mexico and around 10% on China from February 1st. He's also vowed to impose duties on European Union imports.
And on some positive news, tourism has returned to pre-pandemic highs. So the UN's World Tourism Organization has released its 2024 year-in review data. What it found was that last year, about 1.4 billion people traveled, and that is 99% of the number who traveled the year before the pandemic started. And this amounted to nearly $2 trillion spent in the tourism industry. Europe was the most visited continent, with France taking the title for the world's most visited nation. And a statement from France's National Tourism Department attributes this to the Summer Olympics and the reopening of the iconic Notre Dame Cathedral. A diamond pact is a top priority for Botswana's new president. President Duma Boko said that he hopes to finalize a long-delayed sales pact with industry giant De Beers as early as tomorrow. Botswana and De Beers actually agreed on a new pact in 2023, but it was never signed by Boko's predecessor. Under the deal, the government's share of diamonds from the jointly owned Botswana Diamond Company would gradually increase to 50% over the next decade. Boko said the government and De Beers are in agreement on most issues and that all that's left is tidying up. And CNN is planning layoffs. They'll come about as the cable news network shifts its attention towards streaming. Here's more.
CNN will lay off about 6% of its workforce as the cable news network shifts its strategy toward streaming services. That's according to an internal memo from CEO Mark Thompson seen by Reuters on Thursday. Thompson told employees the objective was, quote, a simple one, to shift CNN's gravity towards the platforms and products where the audience themselves are shifting. And that means away from legacy TV networks and towards digital products. To that end, Thompson said CNN has started development on a new streaming service for news programming similar to its cable channel. He also laid out plans for a new lifestyle-oriented online product this year, which would add at least 100 new jobs. The digital push is being financed by a $70 million investment from parent company Warner Bros. Discovery. The moves come after CNN in October launched a paywall on its website, and just weeks after Warner Bros. Discovery said it plans to split its cable TV networks from its streaming services and studios to form two separate units.
A decades-old Tina Turner song thought to be lost has been rediscovered. The song Hot For You Baby was originally recorded for Turner's hit 1980s album Private Dancer. It was played for the first time Thursday when it was featured on BBC Radio. Hot For You Baby was written by Australian musicians George Young and Harry Vanda and recorded at Capitol Studios in Hollywood. Though it's unclear how the song became lost, the song will be included in a special Private Dancer anniversary album slated for release in March. Now, Turner died in May 2023 at the age of 83 at her home in Switzerland. Meanwhile, Beijing residents say they're looking forward to celebrating the Lunar New Year, but stressed concerns about employment for the year ahead. Here's more.
Beijing residents prepared to board trains and travel back to their hometowns. They said they are looking forward to celebrations, but are concerned about job prospects and employment opportunities for the year ahead.
After the holidays, I will definitely come back to Beijing first and see the work situation. I will still need to come back and plan it, but I'm not sure what the plan will be because the job market is not stable.
Hundreds of millions of Chinese are crisscrossing the country for the Chinese New Year holiday travel rush. It kicked off on January 14th.
Going forward, I will still go to live in big cities. I mean, there is no other choice. The employment market everywhere, whether in smaller or bigger cities, is not very good at the moment. But obviously, bigger cities are better in comparison. These years, the economy has declined, making it difficult to earn any money. After the COVID-19 epidemic, it's become even more difficult to earn money and find a job. There are many more unemployed people now, and they all say it is more difficult.
The travel rush is often seen as a barometer for China's economic health and a pressure test for its vast transportation system. But the pressure also falls on young people looking at an uncertain future.
Nowadays, there are lots of talented candidates for jobs, and there are a lot of people in colleges and universities. As a result, the number of graduates is so high that it is difficult to find a job.
This year's Chinese New Year travel rush will last for 40 days, ending February 22nd. The Chinese New Year holiday itself runs from January 28th to February 4th.
Now, if you're feeling the winter blues, there might be a cure for you. Today is National Pie Day, so whether you bake it or buy it, it's time to slice it up and devour one of the nation's favorite desserts. In fact, we love pie so much here that we celebrate it twice a year. The pie celebration is on January 23rd. That's the first observance of the year. The second is in December. So, you know, whether it's apple, blueberry, lemon, or pecan, and my personal favorite, pumpkin pie, so many flavors to choose from. You shouldn't have a problem finding the one you like. And when you do, make sure to post it on social media with the picture and with the hashtag National Pie Day. And a judge blocks President Trump's plan to end automatic citizenship for anyone born in the U.S. as Republicans seek to turn it into the law of the land. The birthright battle heats up. Here's the story.
To hear the judge from the bench say that in his 40 years as a judge, he has never seen something so blatantly unconstitutional.
Federal Judge John Kulner temporarily blocks President Trump's executive order to end birthright citizenship for the children of illegal immigrants. Birthright citizenship generally means anyone born in the United States is automatically a U.S. citizen, largely seen as part of the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. Washington State Attorney General Nick Brown says the amendment would have to be changed to end birthright citizenship.
Not even the President of the United States can simply erase what it means to amend the Constitution and the process therein.
Changing a constitutional amendment would be extremely difficult, but Republicans don't think they have to. Republican Brian Babbitt has introduced a bill to end birthright citizenship.
Citizenship will be granted only to children born in the United States with at least one parent who is, 1, a U.S. citizen or national, number 2, a lawful permanent resident, and number 3, a lawful resident who is serving in the military.
Republicans believe the 14th Amendment doesn't automatically give citizenship to anyone born in the U.S. The amendment says all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. Republicans point specifically to the requirement, subject to the jurisdiction thereof.
A person in the United States illegally are not subject to the jurisdiction thereof, because that's what the 14th Amendment says. They got no Social Security number. They got no voter registration.
Republicans say they're confident their interpretation will win in court.
A lot of lower courts have to look at him, disagree, and then they're filed with the U.S. Supreme Court in order to make a decision. So, I mean, it could be upwards to a year. Who really knows?
Immigration lawyer Rosanna Berardi says she believes immigrants don't have to worry at the moment. She says there will be a long period of political banter.
Clients are worried. We're getting a lot of phone calls. People don't know what's going to happen. They're worried about their applications. They're worried about traveling.
Hundreds of protesters gathered in Los Angeles and Las Vegas to protest ending birthright citizenship.
It's a very scary time with this new administration, and I want to make sure that our immigrant community, our Latino community, that everybody knows that they're not alone.
Protesters say many are scared of Trump's policies and that they hope the power of the people will stop them.
Okay, before we go here, let's take a look at the markets. S&P 500 here rose to a record closing high today. And this comes as investors assessed a mixed bag of corporate earnings, as well as they're digesting comments from President Donald Trump, including a call for cuts in interest rates and oil prices. So while investors have been cautiously monitoring Trump's comments about tariffs, they do like the idea of interest rates coming down, of oil prices coming down as well. And this is according to the chief strategist at 248 Ventures. So the Fed is expected to actually leave interest rates unchanged for the first half of 2025, and that's according to data compiled by LSEG.